It's as American as apple pie. A backyard barbecue on the 4th of July, and it's America's sweetheart. It's the 1955 Thunderbird.
Goes cruising just as fast as she can now, and she'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes a T-bird away. Fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes a T-bird away. Well, the speed standard 'cause she walks, looks and drives like an ace. You walk like an ace now, you walk like an ace. She makes the Indy 500.
Hey guys, I'm really excited to have this car in the studio today because on my top 10 list of cars that I'd like to own and drive is a 55 T-Bird. Now, I have a personal problem with this car, but I've figured out how to solve it. Make sure you watch the entire video so that you can learn all about T-Birds in general, and especially what makes this 55 T-Bird probably one of the most desirable in the country. I mentioned to you guys before that I had a personal problem with this car, and it's pretty big. When the car came in, I was so excited to finally get to drive a 55 T-Bird. I had always wanted to, and I've never had the opportunity. Finally, a dream would come true. But here's the problem. I'm 6'3". I'm somewhere between a small block and a big block Chevy. And there's just, as you can see, absolutely no way that I'm gonna cram my giant self into this little car, which creates quite the kerfuffle because I'm supposed to be taking you guys on a test drive, right? So I need a stand-in, and you can't just have anybody drive one of the most desirable T-Birds in the country. So I searched high and low, and I found a well-qualified, suitable person to come drive. In fact, they've driven all the cars that I've owned all the years. Who better to drive America's sweetheart than my sweetheart, Mrs. Garage Father.
Did you just say kerfuffle?
I did.
Hi.
Did I use it appropriately?
Yes, you did.
What do you think of the T-Bird?
I love it. It's, as you know, my favorite. So T-Bird's my favorite. When I saw this come in, I was like, oh, maybe. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yay.
She's actually currently driving. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
She's actually currently driving the updated model of this, a 2004 Thunderbird that you drive every day.
Drive it every day right now,
Yeah.
Tops down, because it's summer here, and then top goes up in winter.
In the wintertime. Yeah. All right. Well,
All right,
why
let's
don't you
go
guys
drive it.
take these guys for a ride?
Sure. Need a bigger shot. All right, well, getting in here, first thing, seatbelts. It's got seatbelts, excellent. I just absolutely just adore the inside of this car. I mean, the steering wheel is so fun. But look at, I mean, it is clean in here. This dash is nice. But this headliner, I don't think I've seen a headliner in this good a shape, probably in any car he's brought home. This looks great. It looks fantastic. So we've got regular windows. We have power seats, you guys. There's 4-way power seats. So up, down, back and forth. My favorite part, ready, listen. Do you hear that? Air conditioning, blowing cold in the Central Valley. But I'm gonna leave the windows down so that you guys can hear me. Let's go somewhere. So when Kenny asked me to do this, to drive this, I was really excited. I was so excited because I just love this car. It is just a chance to drive something like this, just that has this history. I was so excited. Of course I said yes, and then he told me I had to be on camera, and camera is not my skill set, but I promise next week Kenny will be back. So when he told me that I would be doing this and talking, I thought, oh, what do I talk about? Because to me, like, it's red, it's shiny, it's pretty, I love it. To me, I like to think about the history of a car, think about the past. Who rode here? Who drove this? You know, was it, you know, a dad on his way to work, or was it a mom with kids next to her and heading to the grocery store? I know it's only a two-seater, but maybe it was. Maybe, was it a kid driving it off to high school? So I love that. I love feeling the connection to this, feeling that connection to the past. And this is such a great car for, I want to say, not like a novice, but somebody who's not used to really, you know, those, just the crazy hot rods that are out there sometimes. But to me, it just, oh, the way it looks, it's gorgeous. And like Kenny had mentioned earlier that it's not the original top, because the 56 had the portals and the 55 did not, but I am so glad that this car has it, because it just changes it, and it helps to see, right? I do love the curved glass as well. The curved glass I think is also gorgeous. I love that. I like retro futuristic style, and so to me this is just a blast from the past, which was a blast to the future, if that makes sense. You know, those old, just really well-made, well-designed cars. And I'm a little bit of like a logo nerd or a name nerd, and so I was wondering, okay, what's the history? How did it get the name Thunderbird? And so, thanks to the internet, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it is, Ford Motor Company decided to have a naming competition amongst their staff there. And so one of the employees was sitting down at a coffee shop, and he had a mug, and the mug had a picture of a Thunderbird, and it said Thunderbird, and he thought that was a great name for this car. And boy, was he right. It is. Thunderbird, of course, in native culture and customs, symbolizes and represents like strength and power, and that's this car. It is just, he went on to really just sort of name a car of a generation. And so I started thinking, oh, what did he get? Did he get some money? Did he get a free car? No, he won the contest and he got a free suit. So I'm sure he looked snappy in his free suit. I'm sure he looked snappy in his free suit, but he probably would have rather have had the car.
Everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. Everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner.
Alright, well I guess it's time to put her away, but I had an absolute blast. It was so much fun. Thank you to the Haskell family and the Garage Fathers for letting me do this. I promise you guys have Kenny back next time. But thank you. Bye.
Now, in order to fully appreciate the awesomeness of the 55 T-Bird, we have to understand where we were as a country and where Ford Motor Company was as a manufacturer as well. So let's take it right after World War II. Just a mere number of days after World War II ended, Henry Ford appointed his grandson, Henry Ford II, or the Deuce, as many people refer to him, as president and CEO of Ford Motor Company. At the same time, we had many GIs returning home who had been overseas and had the opportunity to drive some European sports cars, and as such, fell in love with them. And as a result, in the early 50s, there became a high demand for European sports cars here in America. Now, sometime in the early 50s, the Deuce took a trip to Europe and attended the Paris Auto Show, where he too became infatuated with European sports cars. So he came back and he went to his chief design engineer, George Walker, and said, "Hey, George, we need to come up with a European styled sports car that we could sell." And George says, "You know what? We're on top of it. Our guy, Frank Hershey, has already developed a car and designed a car." So the T-Bird actually came from the concept car from 1953, the Ford Vega, which is interesting, of course, because as you know, Chevy later mass-produced the Vega. Now, Frank Hershey had designed that car, but he had also started working against his boss's will and in secret on developing the design for this car here as well. So when the Deuce gave George Walker the orders, he was already well ahead of the curve. Now, also about this time in '53, Corvette became first to the market with an American-made sports car. And the Deuce was very competitive, so he wanted to get this car manufactured as quickly as possible. In fact, it's one of the fastest cars to go from pin to production in about 18 months, which is pretty incredible. While Chevy may have beat Ford to the sports car market, Ford actually beat them in production. In 1955, Corvette sold about 700 units. The T-Bird, however, sold 16,000 cars, ensuring that it was indeed America's sweetheart. For some reason, and I'm not sure what it is, Ford opted not to market the car as a sports car, even though you can't deny that this is a sports car, with having Ford's most powerful V8 engine, being a two-seater and being very sporty. It's obviously a sports car, but Ford chose to brand it as a luxury personal vehicle as opposed to a sports car. Maybe that's what gave them the edge in sales, but I think it was probably just the overall beauty and aesthetics in design. And speaking of design, let's get right into it here, shall we? Now, many people refer to 55 and 6 T-Birds as baby birds. And some people include the 57 in that category. I don't, because it's a much longer, larger vehicle. It had big tail fins. And even though it's the same generation, it's kind of a different car. So I like to refer to 55 and 6 as the baby birds. Now, after 57, starting in 58, and for many years, the car kind of lost its identity. It became a 4-seater, a 5-seater, a 6-seater, a 4-door at parts, and it just didn't have its original luster that it had originally. So they halted production in 1997. But in 2002, they brought the T-Bird back with retro styling. In fact, it's the car that kicked off the retro craze that we're all enjoying today. And it was styled after this car right here, and I think they did a great job on that. Now, this car here, starting at the front, we've got this nice open grille. And, in 55, we were firmly getting into the jet age, and we were changing as a country as long distance travel became more available to us. As a result, Americans became infatuated with jets. And so the little bumper guards here on the 55 and 6 T-Bird emulate the intake of a jet engine here, just to prey on that infatuation that we had with jets back then. And then it sweeps back nice into this beautiful hood, which they call the Power Dome hood, and it's as much for function as it is for form. This is a functional air scoop to get nice fresh air into the engine, and it's really an ornate piece of jewelry that just sits atop, adding to the elegance and muscular look that the T-Bird has. And as was popular in the mid-50s, of course, we have the wraparound windshield with the straight windshield post, which is what some people call a knee knocker, and it's one of my favorite elements of design from the mid-century. Now, as we look inside here, you'll see we've got some nice pleated inserts in the seat and beautiful dash with spun aluminum, inserts in the door panels and wrapping around the dash as well. We've got a telescopic steering column with a beautiful steering wheel that was made just for the Thunderbird. As you can see, we've got a tachometer and a 150 mile an hour speedometer. I don't know if this car would do that back then, but maybe. I mean, it's pretty swoopy, and it had nearly 200 horsepower, which was pretty great for the day. And of course, you've got this nice removable hardtop, which makes it great to enjoy the wind in your hair if you want to take this off. Those of you with a keen eye will notice that this is a 56 roof that's on this car. In 55, the T-Bird did not have this porthole. This came out in 56 to aid with blind spots that the car obviously had. And it's really one of the most interesting elements of design in all of auto manufacturing. Of course, we've got 15-inch standard tires with this one has little pinner white walls. I personally think I'd like to see some nice big 3-inch white walls on this car, but these are very nice as well. And of course, the whole body sweeps from front to back with this peak going from the top of the fenders, the door line, to the quarter panel tail fins back here. It's just a thing of beauty. Let's take a look inside the trunk and see how that looks. Just look at what a nice job they did on the restoration of this car. As you can see, the bottom side of the deck lid is painted and has just as much attention to detail as the rest of the car. This car is as clean on the bottom side as it is on the top. We've got similar bumper guards in the rear as we have in the front. And of course, these rounded taillights are meant to emulate the exhaust flame of a jet. And then we've got these nice big tail fins that are subtle. That makes 55 my favorite year overall for automotive manufacturing design, is because they had the tail fins. Pretty much every car had fins, but they were still pretty subtle. They hadn't gone crazy for a couple more years. Now, I had mentioned before that I felt that this car specifically might be one of the most desirable 55 T-Birds in the country. And the reason I feel that way is because of its history. Now, many of these cars have passed hands, you know, from owner to owner. This car here has been in the same family since 1956. The car is now 70 years old. So if you can imagine how many owners any car would be owned by over a 70-year period. Now, this car here has been with the same family for almost that entire duration of time. In February of 1956, Bill and Janie Haskell walked onto a Ford dealership right here in Central California and purchased this nearly new 55 T-Bird. And that car remained in the family for years and years. In fact, Bill and Janie loved the car so much and were such great stewards of the car that as soon as they got the car, they put this 56 roof on it. And they enjoyed the car taking long trips across the country. They drove the car to Yosemite. Every couple of years, they would drive the car across the country, visiting family and different state parks. At some point in the 90s or early 2000s, they took the opportunity to go ahead and add air conditioning to the car to add to the comfort of this personal luxury vehicle. And the only other deviant from factory original is the addition of a CB radio, which of course they probably added sometime in the 70s or 80s during the CB craze. And it's a lovely addition to this car. Let's take a peek under the hood, shall we? As you can see, the car is just as stunning underneath the hood as it is on the outside. Look at what a nice job they did finishing the underside of the hood. And of course, we've got the venerable 292 Y block still here. It looks like it's been upgraded with a Holley carburetor to add to the reliability factor of this car. And you can see right here, this car was built in January 22nd of 1955. These are all the original components, and you can still read the original stickers and stamps that the car came with from Ford in 1955. That's pretty incredible, I think. And the exhaust note of a Y block is one of the top 5 best sounding engines of all time. You got to hear this thing. Check it out.